Good morning, my beautiful masculines. Welcome to the next episode of Divine Masculine Talks. Today we're going to be talking about your armor. The armor, right? So I'm going to explain to you what it actually means. I use this term a lot in my readings, in my videos on TikTok. I think it will help you to understand better how to properly do shadow work, because this is a base of shadow work, or if you choose the very 3D way of therapy, right? Self-help, accepting parts of ourselves. So what we mean by armor, these are armor is our shadows. It's our internal demons, is the parts of our psyche that we're rejecting, right? So to give you a little bit of introduction and take a step back, so you understand that we all have armor, and the armor of a distorted masculine, of you beautiful masculines, is usually very, very, very strong, because you are very connected to this physical world, and armor is part of an ego, is part of the physical world, right? So when we are born to this world, right, as a soul, we incarnate and we enter this physical existence through a portal of the feminine womb, right? Things are happening to us. Things that are part of our physical karma, what we call physical karma, right? So physical karma is that first part of your life that certain things have to happen in order for your soul to have a setting to achieve its objective, right? So it's going to be your parents, the place you live, early life, childhood experiences. Some will be good, some will be challenging, right? So as these things are happening, we're very small, we're vulnerable, we don't remember, we don't have the remembrance and the wisdom of our soul, right? So we are born here as a blank card, right? And what we have for protection as a soul is our body, is our physical body, our ego, right? So as things are happening to us that we don't necessarily know how to respond, right? It's challenging, it's difficult, it's painful, it's hurtful. Our ego steps in and creates a defense mechanism. It starts to create our physical response, right, to certain things. This is where your patterns will be created, right? Your armor is built of your patterns, your response patterns, your attachment style, whether you're anxious, whether you're avoidant, right? This is where your traumas and your wounds, traumas and wounds are the building blocks of the armor, right? But this is all happening on a very subconscious level. We don't know this, right? We do not know this. It's an automated response for the body that is preparing us. What the body thinks that it's doing is to prepare us better for the experiences that are in front of us, right? So if you, for example, let's break it down through the example of avoidance. If you have parents, or one of your parents or caregivers, that are very emotionally unavailable and cannot teach you to properly deal with emotions, so they will either be over emotional, that distorted feminine energy that will just not be able to cope with emotion. Your body will program like, emotions are not good, I should not follow emotion, I should stay in my logic. So we're gonna lock this and we're gonna use this because that's cuckoo, okay? Or if you have a parent who is on a very wounded masculine, distorted, toxic masculine side, they will teach you to associate emotion with nonsense, with weakness, right? With something that we shouldn't be proud of. And as you start showing your emotion, these distorted caregivers will not react nicely, because they don't welcome your emotion, because they either hate emotions or they don't manage emotions, right? So they will dismiss it. they will ignore it. You will not be given space to express yourself emotionally. You will not be given tools to teach how to self-soothe, how to embrace emotion, how to feel emotion, how to use emotion as your compass, right? So what you will do naturally is your ego will go into avoidance. Well, okay, if emotions are not welcome, let's retreat. Why would we suffer again if someone laughing at us, at someone mocking us, at someone reacting in a very dysregulated way for our emotions? Let's lock them, right? And you create that mechanism, that defense mechanism. And there's gazillions of these mechanisms, right? This is what we work through. If you choose to come to me on a shadow work session, this is what we do. We unbox your shadows. If you do this through therapy, you're going to do the same things. It's just with a little bit of different tools, right? But the mechanism of that unboxing will remain same, right? So we create this armor, right? This defense armor, not to get disappointed again, not to suffer again, but it's not based on reality, but it's based on what we are given, right? That physical karma. And what adds to that armor is conditioning. So it can be social conditioning, it can be cultural conditioning, it can be religious conditioning. So the act of building that armor is basically your program, okay? Because when we're born to this earth, we know nothing. We don't remember. We don't know how a human being is supposed to function. We don't know what's right or wrong. We haven't developed our internal compass just yet. And we haven't allowed the natural human values to emerge to the surface and lead us. So we need teachers, and we create a reality that we take for granted, and we think it is 100% truth, right? And if you think about this, if you don't really believe that all these things, 90% of things that every human believes in is that conditioning is either an armored response, outer response, or is a programming of society, of culture, of religion, of your family, of your parents. It's a program. From childhood, they are programming you. So the awakening journey, the healing journey, is to remove this program, right? Erase everything from the blank piece of paper and like, okay, now I am ready to figure this out on my own. And if you still are in a moment that you don't believe this fully, and if you think that certain things are given, right? Because you think that this is what has to happen, right? So men have to have money. Women have to give birth to children. We have to go to church. Whatever that is for you, I'm going to give you a perfect example. Imagine myself, I don't know if this is the first video you're seeing me, you know me, you don't know me, but imagine myself having a baby, okay? And then a woman who is in a completely distorted energy, okay? Or not even distorted energy. She lives a completely different life. She's very religious, right? So she's going to teach that baby, you have to go to church every Sunday because this is where God is. And I'm not saying that, I'm not judging her. I'm just saying that she is teaching that child something that is her truth. Her truth, okay? So that armor, that autopilot that you're building, it's not universal truth. It's not your truth. But it's 90% of that is a truth of your society, of your parents, of your family, of your conditioning, of the religion that you were born to. But we don't realize that. We take it for granted, right? So if I had a child, I wouldn't say to this child, you must do this. The only thing I would teach to that child is you must be kind, because we're human beings. We cannot do to someone what we would not like to experience ourselves. This is the base of compassion. But then everything else, the world is your oyster. You're here to discover your path. So a child that sees a mother that is afraid of her husband, that goes to church every Sunday because she's terrified that if she doesn't, she's going to burn in hell, right? A woman who is very fanatic, who is very fearful, who has numbed her intuition, she's going to raise a completely different child than a woman, for example, like myself, where my child would see me meditate for answer. Well, my child would see me spend time in nature to connect to God. Well, my child would see me playing with dowsing rods to talk to spirit or channel, right? So it's a completely different setting. And the first step to, it's just an example, right? It's just a silly example, but a first step to understanding that you are working on an autopilot is to understand that nothing is given. Nothing is the ultimate truth, right? I'm going to talk a little bit about how to break that armor in a moment, but I want to still mention to you that this programming, and a very important thing that we're forgetting, freedom is very important to divine masculine, right? And we're going to do a whole different episode about freedom and truly understanding freedom as it's supposed to be understood by a divine order and by a universal divine truth, right? But what I want you to understand to create a glitch for you to escape that matrix is that you think that every day you are taking choices with your free will. But if you really think about this, 90% of these choices are not. So if you think, I want to be abundant, okay? I want to be successful and I want to thrive at that job, specific job that I'm doing. Why? Do you really want that? Or maybe you want to prove something to your father. Or maybe you want to prove something to yourself. Or maybe you want to prove God knows what to God knows who. Maybe someone told you that a true man is abundant in the sense of the true man is abundant, but true man has pentacles. Maybe someone have told you that the value of men is dependent of the number on their bank account, which is nonsense. So everything that you do, why you do it, 90% of things that you do will either be a response to a programming, again, social, society, religion, cultural, family, automated program, and another part would be a result of that armor. Why are you escaping from the other half of your soul? Why are you escaping from your woman? It makes no sense. It's the fear. Fear of vulnerability, fear of loving, fear of being loved, lack of self-esteem. It's your armor. It's your armor. You're not taking your decisions from a place of truth of your soul, right? And there is this really amazing video of Ricky Gervais's. In one of the interviews, he said, I've shared this a while ago on my Instagram. I love this interview. He mentioned that, he thinks that religion is not something that children should be taught up to the point when they're 20. And because we are being given truths that are not ultimate truths, but they're truths of our parents, of our culture, of our society. And he gives a very beautiful example. Why do we take it for granted? It's because when we're children, part of what our parents teach us, no matter what kind of parents you have, it's always going to be a good thing, right? Because he gives this beautiful example. You see fire and your parents gonna, something hot like on a stove, and your parents gonna tell you, don't touch that. But you're gonna want to touch that because it's your soul. Your soul knows that you gotta try it on your own. Is it really true? Your soul knows from the very beginning. I love children. They're little devilish creatures, but they know. They remember. Side note, up to the age of 4, you can actually remember your past lifetime. So this is the moment when it's time to talk to your children. I already see the difference. What I would talk to my children with and other women, right? So it's conditioned. So the good thing of all parents, no matter what they believe in, they will try to protect that child in the physical. So don't touch that, right? But the child's going to go ahead and is going to touch that. And they're going to burn. And they're going to go, okay, they were right? And then they're going to be, don't climb this because you're going to fall. But Will I? I'm going to go ahead and climb that because I'm a little MFer and I want to do that, right? And the more we tell them not to do something, they're like, let's try. And they're going to go ahead and climb. They're going to fall. They're going to be like, okay, she was right, right? And in those physical settings, they're going to notice, and the mind, right? The soul wanted to try on its own. The soul was fierce. The soul was courageous. But the mind that is learning, the mind that is not yet developed, starts to learn that, okay, these bigger creatures were right. So maybe I should pay attention because I burned myself, because I failed, right? They were right. Even if they're not going to admit it, the brain's going to code that they were right. And by default, they're going to start thinking that everything that those big creatures say is right, because it's a thing of the spirit, it's a thing of life, it's a psychological thing. Whatever angle you're going to look at this, children are like sponges and parents or caregivers are like gods. Okay, they're not questioning because they don't understand. We look at our parents and we look up to them because they saved us from, certain things, because we see that they maneuver this life better because they're older. So we take for granted that everything that they say, we don't question these things, right? And obviously then you enter, a stage of adolescence and so on and so forth. But at this point, the armor is built. This is just your rebellion. Again, this is this first wave, adolescence of the soul trying to be the rebel, right? But the armor is already built. Right? The armor is already built because we start to build that armor around the age of 4. It's already done, right? And then we only strengthen it through first experiences with colleagues in school, with first girlfriends and boyfriends and experiences, and when we're laughed at, when we're bullied, and we enter this very dangerous world of older children and adolescents that we're all brewing with the fight of our own rebellious soul and the conditioning that was put on us individually, on every one of us from that age of 4. So it's like armor to armor to armor, and it's strengthening our armors. Okay? Completely vicious cycle. So he explains this beautifully, that if you really think about it, going back to Ricky Gervais, he explains this beautifully, and he says, well, how convenient it is that everyone born in a certain, in a certain geographical land, they believe in the same God, and it's the only true God. If you were really like, how convenient that is, how coincidence, right? So if you really look at this, you realize that we're so different because we're conditioned by, again, where we were born, family we were born into. That armor is being built, that program is being downloaded literally into our brain. Now, before we move into 4 key steps that I want you to really contemplate on to help you to break this armor, I want you to think that it may seem obvious to you right now, but for a very long time, as we're children, as we're young humans, even though we look at our parents and, as adolescents, we start to, rebel, we don't approve of everything that they do. We're rebellious. It's just that rebellion changes, right? But from that little child that I mentioned to you that goes like, I'm going to try it on my own, we're always rebels. It's your natural thing. It's a program of a soul that helps you to find your true self. But the rebellion within us is always numbed by family, by people, by society, by matrix. You have to be obedient. You have to obey the rules. Don't question anything. Don't think too much about anything. That's what you have to do with your life, with yourself. And that rebellion is the voice of the soul. Because the soul knows that only through rebellion we can discover our true self, our true authentic self. And only our true authentic self will ever be able to tell us, why am I here? What did I want to achieve here? because you have to be your authentic self. You have to be tapped into your intuition, tapped into your passion, into your emotion, to remember, what did I come here to do as a soul? What did I want to learn, right? So it's really natural that we have that little rebel within us always. So we will be questioning, here and there, certain things that our parents say and how they live their life. And we're going to have that moment, especially in adolescence, to be like, no, I don't want to be like you. I don't want to live my life like you, right? But it's already too late, because the armor has been built. The program has been downloaded into our brain, right? And without us knowing, we act on an autopilot. We think we're taking free choices, but we're not. As long as you don't exit the matrix and exit that conditioning and completely reprogram your mind through a journey of awakening, you are following the autopilot, again, built on your armor and your conditioning, social, religious, so on and so forth, all that I mentioned, right? And what we're really not understanding, and it's important to understand, despite the fact that we do defy our parents sometimes, what we're not understanding, because we were programmed from childhood to think and believe that they're ultimate truth carriers, that they're gods, right? That they have to get it right. We never see our parents for a big part of our life as human beings. Human beings who have their own traumas, their own woundings, their own shadows, their own fears, their own limiting beliefs, that they themselves have been programmed by their parents, by the society that they were born into, that the religion that they were born into, the culture they were born into. And we don't understand that it's not like, they want us to go towards a different direction, or it's just, we have to understand that they too went through the same path of building a defense system. And now that natural programming of your physical body always wants you to somehow protect your child. So you think, okay, this is what hurt me, so I'm going to transfer my armor and my conditioning into my child to protect that child, because they're acting from a place of ego, right? The ego doesn't want to hurt us. The ego actually wants to protect us, right? That armor built on your responses, defenses of your ego was meant to protect you, not to harm you, right? So I'm going to give you 4 tools that I find very, very, very helpful to start exiting that matrix and start to reset your program. Because again, I'm going to repeat this, freedom is very important for you, for our masculines. And this is why I'm going to make a whole separate episode about freedom, because I also want to touch on this from a soul perspective, freedom of the soul, true freedom. Because again, what you think freedom is what matrix and conditioning told you that it is. So what I want you to do is, first thing that you're going to start doing, you're going to use your beautiful mind, right? Instead of embarking on a journey of overthinking and anxiety, you're going to use your beautiful mind to question everything. Question everything. Every information that you receive, every situation that you're at, every choice that you've taken, start to really question, did I wanted that? Or did I thought I wanted it? Or was I told that I wanted it? Yesterday's episode is going to be very important, because manipulation is a tool of the matrix as well, not just of the distorted feminine, but of the matrix. How they are programming us, they manipulating us into fear. Religion manipulates us into fear. True God doesn't want us to fear. True God wants us to be free and courageous and authentic, because we are gods. We are the element of God. Our soul is divine, right? Society manipulates you to act following the crowd, not thinking on your own, not thinking independently. It's dangerous, right? Your culture manipulates you into fear that there's certain things that are not allowed. Society also, especially culture and religion, manipulates you into fear through separation. That it's our religion that is superior, that is our God that is true, that it's our culture that is better because these savages, like, right? No, it's all just a little land of illusions and program that is designed for you to obey, not think too much, not question too much. Okay? So question everything. Use your mind for the exact reason you got this. Because your purpose is to break the matrix. And we're going to, make a whole separate episode about the purpose, the path of the masculine. But you got to question everything. Absolutely everything. Now, once you start questioning everything with a really open mind, it's going to be a rabbit hole, so good luck. Grab a snack because it's a never-ending story. But it's so eye-opening and mind-opening. You have to be blunt and accountable with yourself, right? So you cannot follow, as you question the program and as you question your armor, you cannot allow that internal ego to trick you and to lie to you. Right? Because let's say when you were very young, you left your country to go to a different place to make more money, to have a better life, right? So ask yourself, did I really wanted this? The answer may be, very divided, and perhaps it was a part of your destiny and it was a divine intervention, because don't forget, it is divine intervention. It is our soul's intervention. Who are our parents? What culture we're born into? What religion we're born into? So our soul planned this. Right? So it may be these decisions may be part of your path, because your soul knew that as a small child, you're not going to listen to the divine guidance through your higher self, right? So they had to orchestrate situations to push you where you needed to go. But when you start thinking about these decisions, whatever that is, like let's say a university that you went to, or career that you chosen, or that you moved to that other country, you have to be blunt and accountable. Did I really wanted this? 100%. Was it my decision? Or did I do it because my parents told me that I'm not going to have a good life in my country? Or I did it because I didn't understand the meaning of abundance and I wanted to have more money? Did I did it because I wanted to truly escape my family, my culture, my whatever that is, right? So was this the decision of my soul? Again, it may be complex, but really be blunt. Try not to, or that question, because this is a series for any divine masculine, feminine as well. Is the reason I said that will benefit from this series. We have to understand each other as well. So the masculines and feminines, we should understand each other. But I do it specifically for the masculines on a twin flame journey, because you have hell of a pickle to go through. This journey ain't easy. It is hard. And it's very hard for the feminists, but for the masculines, it is a challenge. But you have to remain dormant. You have to remain in the matrix. This is your dominion. And the matrix sucks, okay? So I cheer for you. I'm here for you to support you. Every day I send you positive energy. Every Monday when I do my Masculine Mondays, I send you healing energy because you need it. I admire you. I applaud you. It's a great quest, right? But going back to what you need to be blunt and accountable, you know, your soul knew when you met your divine feminine, you were drawn to her. You felt that magnetic pull. Your soul knew. Your soul remembered at that moment. Your soul felt, this is the other half of me. One of these things is not like the others. What do I always say? Your soul knew. But something made you run away. And as you were running away, you were thinking that you were making a choice for yourself, a good choice for yourself, that you want to be free. We'll talk about freedom. That you want to be independent, that you don't want to commit. But now, when you are standing on the verge of opening the door to exit the matrix, like I said, be blunt and be accountable. I didn't run away because I wanted to. I ran away because of fear, because of lack mentality, because of feeling inferior, feeling not good enough, fearing vulnerability, fearing being loved, fearing being lost in a relationship with that woman that I felt something I've never felt before. It wasn't your choice. It wasn't a choice of your soul. It was a choice based on your armor and your conditioning. And you're never going to exit the matrix and break your armor and lift the veil if you're not going to take accountability for what happened and what motivated you. So if you're going to be keeping yourself in that loop of, no, I wanted it. No, it was a good decision. It was my decision. I took this decision. If you ever want to be free, if you ever want to be a true divine masculine who really takes his own decisions, you have to admit that there is a possibility that all my past life, for 90%, I did not take decisions from a place of love and freedom. I did not take decisions from a place of my soul. I took those decisions from a place of armor, defensive ego armor, my shadows, from a place of conditioning that was programmed into my mind by my family, by my society, by my religion, by my culture, by the matrix. You have to admit that. Otherwise, it's never going to work. Okay? So be blunt. No matter how hard it will be to accept, damn, I didn't build this life on my own dreams. I was doing what I thought I wanted, but in reality, I was told either by someone or something on my own shadows that this is where I need to go. Damn, it's time to wake up. And a very good technique that you probably heard me say, amazing technique that I love using on my shadow work sessions with my clients, and it's something that a lot of therapists does as well, is the separation, healing through separation, right? Because you need to understand one thing. Go back to what I said in the beginning. Now, when you realize what I've just told you, you may think, damn you, ego. Damn you, right? Shadows. But your shadows are not evil. Your shadows were created. That armor was created to protect a child that was being hurt, that was sad, that was in pain, that was disappointed, that was vulnerable. The ego did not want to do you harm. Your physical existence, your body, created this defense system to protect you, to protect the soul. So right now, you're not supposed to hate it. You're not supposed to be angry at it. You're supposed to give it love. And that is that 4-step. Love conquers all. Love is a solution. Love is a vibration, not just romantic. Love is a vibration. Self-love, love to our existence, love to everyone and everything is a solution. Okay? So what I want you to do is, as we do shadow work, you take a specific shadow, right? So let's go back to that avoidance. That avoidance that made you run away from your feminine. That avoidance that made you run away from difficult conversations. That avoidance that made you run away from the job opportunity that you didn't believe you were good enough for that, okay? So separate that avoidance from your psyche. And in your mind's eye, imagine a separate entity, okay? It can be a human being. It can be, someone that looks like you but a little different, a little more, scared. It can be a completely different person and human being. It can be an animal. It can be an entity, whatever, right? In reality, when I walk you through this technique on a session, and I ask you to just close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, really relax, and really imagine. We think about your avoidance, right? Imagine your avoidance. Imagine your avoidance as an entity. How does it look like? How you will imagine that avoidance will also say a lot about that shadow, right? So imagine that. Let's say you imagine a different separate human being. What you're going to do is you're going to give a name. Okay, you're going to give a name and you're going to start working with it, talking to it. Because every time this entity, this avoidance will pop up, if you visualize it as an entity, you're going to be more aware and you're going to be able to talk to it, because we do not want you to take your shadow and rip it off your existence and remove it and hate it, because it's not a tumor. It's part of your psyche that you need to heal, love, and integrate back to your body, to your existence. So as you separate it, whatever, let's say you're going to call it Frank. You're going to talk to Frank and you'll be like, listen, Frank, you're wanting me to escape again, right? That avoidance is going to come through in a certain situation, right? So you're going to be standing in front of a choice or a conversation, and Frank is going to come forth and be like, no, let's not do this. This is dangerous. Let's escape. Let's ghost, right? And then, because it's separated and you brought it into your awareness, you're aware that you have avoidance. You've given it name. You know why it exists. You've studied it. You understand where it comes from, what triggered it in your childhood, what gave birth to Frank. You know it now, right? So the moment he's going to come forth, you're going to tell him, listen, Frank, okay, I want to be friends, but you are not here to rule my life. I understand that you were created to protect me. And I cherish that protection. In very difficult moments of life, thanks to you, we escaped hurt and pain. And I applaud you for this. But now I am ready to rule my life. Me as a soul. Me. I am ready. I no longer need automated defense systems that I didn't even know that they existed to tell me what to do. You are not the boss of me, Frank. I am the boss of me, okay? So please sit down, take a breather, take a deep breath, and be mindful. They do not like to be rejected. The more you're going to reject it, the stronger it want to hit you, okay? So you cannot yell at it. You cannot be angry like, stop it! You cannot do this. You have to give it love. Because how do you release armor? When it feels it's no longer needed. So Frank is going to be observing, right? Frank's going to be like, okay, if you think you can do this, go ahead. How about you try, right? So Frank is going to challenge you as well, because Frank, that avoidance, wants to be needed. Is a part of you. It's part of your psyche. This is why you have to give it love. You have to make it feel that it's done an amazing job, but it's like it's no longer relevant, right? And it's going to take a while. Every time Frank is going to come forth, you're going to calm him down. You're going to give him love. You're going to give him some hugs. You're going to say that you don't need him. You're going to see him at your side and know that if you will need that help and that protection, he will pop up, right? But you are in control. He will only come forth when you will ask him because you don't feel ready yet. But he will no longer come forth uninvited. He will no longer sneak in without you knowing. You become aware of its existence, right? And it's going to be a process. I always say that working with our shadows one by one is a little bit like, a couples therapy, right? Couples therapy. You actually have to sit down and make sure that you know how to work together. Similarly, I always talk to you about the feminine and the masculine within. Most people has an internal fight, an internal battle. One doesn't respect the other. They don't know how to work together. So the objective of shadow work and healing is to separate that part of your consciousness, that part of your shadow, that part of your ego, that part of your psyche, however you want to call it, and work with it. And once Frank feels he's going to be separated from you, right? He's going to be there. You're going to be aware of this. But once he is healed, when he feels safe, when he feels that, okay, one point he was needed, he's done an extremely good job, but now he has helped you to grow as well, and you no longer need his assistance, and you are ready and capable to hold the reins of your life. You as a soul, right? You as a unique blend of your soul with your existence in this lifetime. He will just naturally be integrated back into your psyche. And those shadows that were created, it's not like that we will remove them and they will never be there. If you have been avoidant, if you've been strongly avoidant, if that's something that existed within you, it will always be there. But now you're aware of this. Whenever it comes forth, you're aware of this. So you will be in control. Once it's fully integrated back, when you will be put in a situation when normally that avoidance will come forth, you will sort of be aware of that. You will be like, okay, the old me would, but no more. I'm going to face this. Because it's integrated back. I know it's there, I know it exists, but it's no longer, you're no longer ruled and guided by your shadows, you're now guided by light, right? And that's how you work through any shadow that you have. This is how we break the armor, right? You cannot fight with it. You cannot try to completely remove it. You have to give it love. You have to accept it. You have to cherish that part of you that went through experiences that were so painful that they needed that armor. And it's also very important. I always, talk about this to my masculines, that there's a moment on your journey when you, and ours as well, it's same for every, human, that with one hand you hold your future and with the other you hold your past. And we're supposed to draw from our past, not allow our past to draw from us. So you're not supposed to look at your past self and be like, oh my God, can you believe him? He was weak, he was this and that. No. You're supposed to love him. You're supposed to embrace him. You're supposed to like, dude, I feel for you, but you brought me where I am. I thank you. I thank you that you existed. I cherish your existence. I admire you because you went through a lot. I'm no longer going to go through these things because I've learned my lesson, but it's thanks to you, right? So whatever is it your shadow? Is it part of your psyche? Is it conditioning that your parents given to you? Is your past version of self? You have to give it love. That cord that binds you to these things cannot be broken by anything else. It cannot be broken by aggression. It cannot be broken by hate. It only can be broken by love. With love and light, I release you. Similarly, side note, you're karmics, right? Through forgiveness, through acceptance. Otherwise, it will haunt you. All right. I hope this was helpful. I hope you have a better understanding of how your armor works. And I hope you will be able to use this as a tool. I always say this, especially for, you know, those of you who will be very wounded and will struggle with a lot of things, and a lot of these shadows are you know, intertwined and connected. Many times we have to work simultaneously with a couple things, and many times we have to work in layers, right? We have to work in layers, and I talk about this all the time. If you have not started your journey, you cannot just sit down and, okay, today I'm going to heal my avoidance, or this month I'm going to heal my, it's not possible. You cannot cut through the onion, because you would end up in a mental institution. You have to work in layers, right? So you may separate Frank and work with him, and then when you're a little bit better, you're going to focus on different things, but periodically he may come back. So honor him, cherish him, because he's coming back for another layer, for something deeper, right? So you're going to revisit a lot of your shadows many, many times. You cannot just literally put a C4 to your shadows, to your armor, and and make it go away. If only. If only. Right? Process, healing is a process. It takes time. So be kind to yourself. And that kindness is also very important. It's what I mentioned. You have to act from a place of love, not from a place of fear. I don't want you because you're blocking me. But from a place of love. I understand why you were here. Love to your past self, love to your past experiences, because otherwise it's just not going to work. So be, more than anything, love to yourself, right? Yourself that needed that armor, because he was vulnerable and he was innocent, and he had to go through certain things that had to happen, but were very, very, very difficult. And look at from a perspective always that we grow through pain. As difficult as it is to explain, people who choose for a particular lifetime to have a very easy life, it's a breather, but it's not a lesson, right? We learn through pain. So yeah, I love you so incredibly much. You are doing absolutely amazing. You've got one of the hardest tasks and quests on this earth, to be the divine masculine on a twin flame journey. The builder of new earth. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow.